The body is a limit, he says here.
Yeah.
Who would seek for freedom in a body looks for it where it cannot be found. The mind can be made free when it no longer sees itself as in a body, firmly tied to it and sheltered by its presence. If this were the truth, the mind were vulnerable indeed.
And that's what most people believe.
Well, I used to believe it for most of my life.
Right.
You were raised in Christian Science, so you
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have that mind training from early childhood.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, most people don't. And when you even consider who cares about the path, maybe just consider, where am I? You know, we always locate ourselves in the sense of, okay, feels like my awareness is right here and that I'm within this body and that I start and stop here. And this is my comfort bubble zone. Don't invade my space. You know, everything and the whole world shows up in relation to this identification as this is me. Right? So he says the body is a symbol of the world. So the world rises in relation to this first thought that this is what I am. But this thought, recognizing we are mind. So this thought of, if I'm an infinite spiritual being and I want to not know myself, I want to separate from my infinite nature, then this idea of limitation arose. Well, how do you sense limitation? Well, you would need a wall, something to shut off, something to confine, something to imprison, to limit, to stuff. And that's the idea of the body in our mind. And it's not that hard. It takes some practice, some vigilance to keep doing that switch around. But I am mind. I am consciousness. The body is a symbol in my thought. I've used it to pretend that I've jumped into it, but I am not that. And I've been using it as this, safe house for this mythical sense of myself. But at any time we back up into our limitless being, and there's beautiful meditations that bring you into the expansiveness of the consciousness that we are, and that body that's still an image in your mind, it's not thrown out, but it certainly is repurposed. Instead of being the wall of defense against our inexhaustible, limitless self, we move it as a communication device for that self. Let it just be the speaker box, right? Or the means for the great grandeur of the spirit that we are to move here in a dream, to communicate with other sleeping minds. Yeah. Yeah. That's what we all have to do.
Right. So the body can't limit communication.
No, it can't. And it can't stop us from loving, and it can't stop us from forgiving.
Okay. So if somebody I loved has lost their body, has passed.
We don't see the body anymore, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Is communication broken?
Never. Cannot be. Right. And it's, yeah, go ahead.
So if I close my eyes and in my mind I join with that person, really join with that person, that means that person receives that in that instant. Time doesn't act as a block or a delay to that person receiving that love.
That's right.
In the instant that I join them in my mind, they are there.
Yes.
Yes.
But while we believe that we are this body, the belief that the body is dead precludes us from that possibility. Our beliefs govern our experience. So while we're still confined in matter and someone is dead, we can't communicate. But when you've healed your mind to recognize that we are not in the body, but we are mind, one shared mind, individuated aspects of the one sun, having nothing to do with bodies or separation, now you understand why their presence is available in your consciousness to communicate with. When you know and understand that, you can communicate with any aspect of the sonship, past, present, or yet to be, born. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So I might just share something here, sis.
Mm-hmm.
A practical example.
Oh, I love practical examples. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got many of them, but one that's recent is my daughter had one child. I think I've spoken about this before, some of it, and that was pretty much going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no need to have another child, but there was a being who made himself known to my daughter, and had asked very graciously, would she be a physical host,
Mm-hmm.
so that he could finish his incarnation this lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she heard this voice,
Mm-hmm.
felt the presence of this being, and in her style, journaled with this being, did not doubt it for one instant, and journaled, and the being journaled back.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, at that point, she was not pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So she was actually journaling with a disincarnate being,
Mm-hmm.
right? But she joined with Holy Spirit every time, and this being. And then they made a decision to say yes. And she continued to journal with this being. And she, of course, fell pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and gave birth to this beautiful boy. Yeah. But had she been closed off
Mm-hmm.
to this
Yeah.
idea, she couldn't have received this gift.
Right.
So her mind was open,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and his mind was open. And the most glorious communication, grace-filled communication between the two of them
Mm-hmm.
came over that period of whatever it was. I think it was a year and a half, 18 months or something. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Just to give practical example, I mean,
A whopper of an example, but yes.
not common.
No. Well, it could be though, but it proves, it's like what our beliefs are govern. And this whole realm is beliefs and limitation. When we are willing to open our mind and accept, I'm free, there are no limitations. Your daughter's availability to recognizing that we have access to disincarnated beings allowed this experience to occur. And why wouldn't it? Only this false education that says, well, you can't do that. If you accept that, well, you can't. But we can take all of these limitations off. Communication beyond bodies. He's asking us to look beyond bodies. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sis.